We're all aware of the cultural event, the joy one gets from watching a Christmas special. But what about the other famous American holiday where you also eat turkey? Yes, Thanksgiving. But today we're going to watch 10 Thanksgiving episodes. Sorry, it says 10. Yeah, I'm going to tell you about the 7 Thanksgiving spectaculars. Get it? Christmas special, Thanksgiving. No? Okay. Jeez. I tried my best to get a mix of classics, some early 2000s, and modern shows to really get an in-depth look at the Thanksgiving episode. So to start out, I've got Big Bang Theory, which is titled The Thanksgiving Decoupling, which I now looking back understand the name of. Just got that right now. Um Anyways, Howard invites everyone over for Thanksgiving because his father-in-law is going to be there and he can't interact with the man to save his life. So the next day, Leonard, Penny, Amy, and Sheldon are getting ready to go to Howard's, and Penny says that one Thanksgiving she spent it with her ex in Vegas, and they got married at one of those fake marriage like chapels, and everyone in the room is like, "You know those are real, right?" And Penny's like, "No." And they go, "Yeah, no, they're real." She goes, "No." um this revelation sends Leonard, who is Penny's current boyfriend, into a bit of a spiral. And so the group all heads to Howard's and starts watching the game with the aforementioned father-in-law. Sheldon and the father-in-law begin bonding over football, with the father-in-law being surprised that Sheldon knows anything about football in general. Sheldon tells him that his father made him watch it before he could do his homework as a kid, and they get to talking about Sheldon's dad, with Sheldon telling the father-in-law that his dad died when he was 14, actually. And the father-in-law's like, "Oh, so you never shared a beer with the man?" And Sheldon's like, "No." And so they do end up drinking a beer together. And this upsets Howard because this was supposed to be like his time to connect with his father-in-law. And he's like, yeah, he's getting upset. And also, one beer gets Sheldon drunk off his ass. Like, so drunk. Meanwhile, in the other room, Penny and Leonard are still fighting because Penny has now invited her ex over to sign the annulment papers. The ex comes over, signs the papers, and has dinner with the group. So now Penny is no longer married to Zach. Overall, I think this was a pretty good Thanksgiving episode. They tied in both the day it happened on Thanksgiving and like the idea of being thankful, with Sheldon bonding over or Sheldon bonding with the father figure, with Leonard and Penny becoming closer because they've been over this through this together. And then I didn't talk about it, but there was a third like non-meaningful like storyline where they just keep getting the juicy gossip from Leonard and Penny from Leonard and Penny while they're cooking in the kitchen, and that was good as well. And overall just like spending time together. So for the Big Bang Theory, I'm going to put this in the A category. I'm giving this an A. Next up, we have Friends, with their episode being called The One with the Football. I know there are a lot of Friends episodes, but I thought this one looked like the most fun. There's also the one where they wear the chicken or the turkey on their head, but I found this one and people said this one was the most nostalgic, so don't come for me. I've never seen Friends before. So, we join the group on Thanksgiving where the boys are watching football and the girls are finishing up like the sides to the meal. And at halftime, Joey suggests that they go outside to play some 3-on-3 while they wait. Monica and Ross tell the rest of the group that their mother forbid them to play football because one Thanksgiving, Monica ended up breaking Ross's nose. And but it doesn't take much convincing, and the group goes outside to play. Both Monica and Ross captain a team each, with Monica's team scoring first, which already sets Ross off on one. The game is now tied, and Monica throws a ball to Phoebe, but before she gets to the end zone, a light pole in this park they're playing in that they're using as the end zone, Monica's basting timer goes off. Like she set a timer for when she has to baste the turkey again, and it goes off. Monica and Ross begin arguing as to whether or not the touchdown counts because the timer went off like middle of the play. They end up calling it still tie, and they go baste the turkey. And after basting the turkey, they come back for a second half. But they start playing dirty. Like everybody just like has this like idea to just like, and now it's on. Monica starts tackling people. Ross at one point pantses Monica, and Joey and Chandler are fighting as well. Ross eventually pouts and complains hard enough that Monica swaps Joey for Rachel, which makes her team worse and Ross's better, because she's getting Rachel, who doesn't play football, obviously. And it wouldn't be the 90s if the only way that 3 girls thought to win against 3 guys in football is to flash an entire park. Like, literally, they're like, how do we win? And Phoebe's like, I know. And, like, what the hell is happening? In the end, no one ends up winning, but they do end up eating dinner together, save for Monica and Ross, who are still outside fighting over the football.
Let go!
No, you let go.
No!
It's always us left on the field holding the ball.
I don't know. Guess the other people just don't care enough.
Give it, go, give it.
This was a very American Thanksgiving episode. Zach, the whole idea of Thanksgiving is North American, Canadian American. You know what I mean. This is very, like, I feel like the first one you could understand what was happening because it wasn't just about, like, here's this American thing, football. It's like, here is a bonding situation. But this is a good episode. I'm going to give it a B, because, yeah, they don't exactly cater to those people who don't celebrate Thanksgiving and wouldn't maybe know what it is outside of this. But yeah, still a good show, still entertaining. B, I feel, is a pretty good score for that. The third show we'll be looking at is Glee, with their episode just being called Thanksgiving, and this might be like the worst example of that because they mention turkey in one of the scenes, like in one of the storylines that's happening. Okay. We have 2 main storylines in this episode. One I'll call Ohio, and one I'll call New York, because, as you might have guessed, one happens in Ohio and one happens in New York. So, in Ohio, the original New Directions have come back from college to spend the week together as their friends. And Finn, who is now the choir teacher, gets his friends to mentor the New Directions. So the original, like, first season New Directions are home for the holidays from college, and they're going to mentor the New Directions who are in high school right now. It's kind of confusing, so I don't know if I explained it right, but they're mentoring them because they're going into their first sectionals as a group. And historically, the New Directions have never lost sectionals, so it's like up in the ante of the stress levels for these new kids. However, back in New York, Kurt and Rachel have decided to not go home with the rest of their friends, but to stay in New York, and they're going to have a little Thanksgiving. This turns out not to be not so little when Kurt invites his new boss, who is basically Miranda Priestley, but, like, slightly more cunty. Like, I know Miranda, that's a high bar, but she swears a lot, and she's Sarah Jessica Parker, so, like, just, like, slightly above Miranda Priestley in vibe. And then they proceed to sing one of the most insane mashups Glee has ever said, and that's saying a lot. I'm sure you guys have heard a crazy Glee mashup at one point in your life. But Let's Have a Kiki and Turkey Lurkey Time might fucking take the cake on that one. It's crazy. Watch it. Shangela's in it for some reason from RuPaul's Drag Race. I don't know. Anyways, back in Ohio, it's time for the New Directions to perform, and they perform Gangnam Style at sectionals. And then one of the new girls in the New Directions, Marley, faints on stage. The episode ends there on a cliffhanger, but luckily for us, this show came out 10 years ago, and I could just watch the next one right away. they end up losing sectionals. I know, crazy. No one saw that coming after they mentioned winning it and not losing it for however many times they did. But they lose sectionals and they secure their place on my list of one of the worst episodes. It really wasn't about Thanksgiving. They had like that one turkey lurkey time song, and I'm pretty sure that violates the Geneva Convention in some way, shape, or form. Kurt and Rachel and Sarah Jessica Parker are now war criminals. And so for that reason, I'm out.
And for that reason, I'm out.
I'm just messing, but like, I have to give this an F, and I fear I do not have to explain any further. The next show we're gonna look at is Full House, with the episode being entitled "The Miracle of Thanksgiving." So we join the Tanners on Thanksgiving morning, and Danny tells us that unfortunately Grandma Tanner got snowed in, so she cannot come down and help them cook Thanksgiving dinner. He's worried about this because this is the girls' first Thanksgiving without their mom, and he wants everything to go perfectly. If you don't know, like, the thing in Full House, it's like Pam, who is the mom, passes away, and Danny is now a single dad, and his friends and his brother-in-law move in with him to help raise the girls. So that's just like a little... So Joey, Danny, and Jesse enlist the girls' help, and they all start cooking dinner together as a little family unit. I don't know. Everything is done save for the turkey that DJ was working on that's still frozen, because you can't expect an 11-year-old to know how to cook a turkey. Like, luckily for the boys, these two women who don't have the right address for their own family's Thanksgiving show up with a hot turkey in hand. And Danny's like, I'll give you $100. I'll give you $150. I'll give you $200. And they end up fumbling it in the process because the girls are pretty and this is the 90s. This was the 90s, right? And they have to like flirt with them, obviously, and they end up fumbling it, and the women take their turkey and run the other way, frankly. So Danny, being the genius he is, turns the oven all the way up and sticks the turkey in. He's like, this is how to cook something fast. You turn the oven 800 degrees and you pop it in there. And obviously he burns the shit out of the turkey. Then Steph gets sad because she drops the pumpkin pie and runs away, and Jesse and Danny go to comfort the girls, who bounce back pretty easily. They're kids. They know it wasn't like the highest stakes of all time. But in trying to like save the girls' feelings, Danny notices that Jesse is actually the one who's hurting. Danny says that, after all, you've spent the most Thanksgivings with Pam out of all of us. And Pam is, like I said, Jesse's sister and Danny's widower. And the mother of the girls. They talk about Pam, telling funny stories about her, and it helps them both remember her and feel better to, like, you don't have to not feel those feelings. You just need to deal with them in a healthy way. And the episode ends with them all sitting down to eat the burnt turkey and the floor pie. I really like this one. I don't really like Full House, like, as a concept. It was kind of an odd show, but it had really good emotional depth. It had a moral. You're supposed to take something away from this, and I think that's something that modern TV is missing a little bit. And it was centered around Thanksgiving and family. So I'm giving this the highest grade so far of S tier. We're giving our first S tier out. So now we'll have a look at our thing. We got a B for Friends, an A for Big Bang Theory, and then S for Full House. So we've made it to the 5th episode we're going to watch today, which is Modern Family. Modern Family has a few Thanksgiving episodes. I've specifically chosen the one called 3 Turkeys. And so given the title, we're going to be watching 3 different turkeys versions of Thanksgiving. at the Dunphy house, Claire is letting Phil cook, which seems to be going all right, but just in case he muffs it, she has a backup turkey she's basting in the garage, just in case. um, at the Pritchett house, Gloria and Jay are in hiding because they were supposed to go to Mexico, but their flight got delayed, and they chose not to tell anybody that so they could have like a quiet Thanksgiving. And at Cameron and Mitchell's house, they are fighting about how like each one of them parents Lily. Like, Mitchell wants to like tell her no more often, and Cam is like, my baby girl. Like, so they're on these like warring sides trying to figure out how to like parent this kid. But they're also trying to get her dressed to go to the Dunphy house, to Claire and Phil's house for Thanksgiving. And speaking of Phil and Claire, the power goes out at their house. And they have to go. They decide to go to Claire's dad's house, which is Jay and Gloria, the ones who are hiding. So they show up to the house because they have power. They'll just host Thanksgiving there. This causes Gloria and Jay to freak out because they're upstairs in their own house, pretending like there's no one there. Gloria and Jay eventually like devise a plan that like they grab their suitcases and grab their kid and they walk back like around the front of the house, and they're like, we came home, we didn't want to miss Thanksgiving with you guys, we couldn't have, so we canceled our flight or whatever. That is until Jay realizes he was cooking a little mini turkey for just Gloria, his son, and him to eat, and he's like, Gloria, I'll distract them, you have to go throw out this turkey so that no one will suspect anything. And she accidentally throws away Phil's big turkey, which they brought over to the house to finish cooking, leaving Phil to think he shrunk a turkey somehow. So they had like a full bird, and then now they were left with a littler bird, and he's like, oh no. So she accidentally throws away Phil's big turkey. Claire then gets caught with her turkey by Cam and Mitchell, and everyone, that just like, it's the boiling point. We've reached it. They're all yelling. Everyone's yelling. Jay eventually confesses that they didn't go on the trip. Their flight got canceled. They were trying to hide out for the weekend. Cam and Mitchell eventually agree to deal with Lily the same way. They're both going to try and have a little bit more of a backbone and try to meet in the middle. And the Pritchetts and Dunphys and the more Pritchetts sit down and eat all 3 turkeys together. But since they all blew up at each other, they agree that they're going to spend Christmas as their own little family units because they spend way too much time together as a family as it is. They all need a break. The other episodes I've watched, I feel, have been funny. Like, obviously, Full House and Friends aren't not going to be funny, but I feel like this just, like, takes the cake in, like, satirical levels of comedy. Like, there's a subplot line in there where, Manny keeps accidentally, like, touching, Haley's boobs, or, like, he was doing laundry at the Dunphy house, and like he had a pair of underwear in his shirt, and then like gets caught with them. Like, it's just funny. And then like, how are you trying to smuggle in a turkey? Like, it was crazy. This was really like comedically thick, and I loved it. It also showed all the families spending time together. And they tied it back to Thanksgiving. So I'm giving this one also an A, so that the Big Bang Theory now has a friend in there. Yeah, I would say A is pretty good. I enjoyed this episode. It's really funny. I don't know what else to say. For our 6th show, we've got the Goldbergs. With this, they also have a few Goldberg Thanksgiving episodes. I watched the one called A Goldberg Thanksgiving. We've got a few fair storylines going on here too, so lock in. We've got Beverly and Erica, and they are competing in challenges so Erica doesn't have to help cook dinner. And they first do like jazzercise, and Beverly's like, if you don't complete the class, you have to help me cook. And Erica's like, pfft, and she doesn't even like sweat. But we also have another storyline where Adam, his dad Murray, and his uncle Marvin are interfighting because Uncle Marvin plays video games with Adam and they bond that way. And Murray's like, how is my brother better at bonding with my kid than I am? And he's like pissed. He's pissed. And Barry just wants to pass out in a food coma. That's his whole MO. And honestly, respect. I feel like that's my goal on Thanksgiving as well, is just to like eat so much and fall asleep. Beverly and Erica's competition comes to a head when they do a speed walking race in the neighborhood. And Erica ends up winning, so she doesn't have to help cook dinner. But Beverly's like, oh, I pulled something. And she has to, like, sit in a chair in the kitchen, and she can't, like, really walk around. So Erica's like, okay, fine, I'll help you. Like, I won, so I shouldn't have to, but I'll help you. But Beverly gets exposed by herself. Like, she gets so angry that she stands up and, like, runs after Erica at one point. And Erica's like, you stood up and ran after me. And Beverly's like, ooh. And so it's, like, exposed that she's been lying this whole time, which, really gets Erica upset, and she goes to a friend's, like, she gets ready to go to a friend's house. Meanwhile, Murray, the dad, and Uncle Marvin finally talk it out why they're angry at each other, and, like, they make it up because Marvin's like, there's a clear answer here, just go play video games with the kid. Like, you don't have to be good at video games, you just gotta spend time with him. And they're like, best friends. So Uncle Marvin and Murray make up, and so do Beverly and Erica.
We kicked Thanksgiving's ass.
I thought that was pretty funny. I'm giving this one a B. Pretty on par with the Friends episode in every way. Like, pretty funny, just very Americanized. Another one where I think you have to, like, know the show a little bit and know, like, the general concept of Thanksgiving to understand. I don't want that sounds like mean, but like I don't know if everyone would like find a Thanksgiving episode enjoyable if they just like found it on TV. I don't know. Anyways, I think a B is a pretty good grade for this one. All right, lock in. We have our final episode here. This is How I Met Your Mother. How I Met Your Mother Slapsgiving episode. The episode opens with the group in the bar, Adoy. And Ted is voiceover telling us about this bit he has with Robin where someone will say something like, blah, 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 corporal punishment. And they'll go, corporal punishment? Or like, yeah, that's the general idea. General idea? Because him and Robin broke up, they don't really do that bit anymore because it's like awkward. Back to the bar though. Marshall is excited for him and Lily to host their first Slapsgiving as a married couple, and Barney is like, "Did you say Slapsgiving?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I must have. Yeah, Slapsgiving." And voiceover Ted comes back and tells us like, 1 year ago, Barney lost a bet, and Marshall won the opportunity to slap him on 5 separate occasions. Marshall has used the 2 slaps he already has, or has already used 2 slaps, and if he doesn't use the 3rd slap on Thanksgiving, they like go away or something. I'm not entirely sure. I've never watched this show before, but I did my best to research it. This causes Barney to crash out. Valid crash out, by the way. Just like having to know you're gonna get slapped tomorrow is like crazy. Robin then tells the group, and she's like, remember everyone, come to my apartment to bake pies, because I guess Marshall can't have pies in his house or else he'll like eat them all, so the pies have to be cooked elsewhere. But unfortunately the next day comes and the only person who shows up is Ted, and this goes great. This isn't awkward at all. They definitely don't hook up, and it definitely isn't weird the next day. Anyways, the next day, everyone is at Marshall and Lily's the next day, and Barney is still having a crash out. He's still, like, going nuts. And that's when Lily, as the slapback commissioner, forbids Marshall from slapping Barney, because this is her first time hosting Thanksgiving, and she wants it to go well. So she's like, sit down. You're not slapping him. So they all sit down for dinner, and Robin and Ted make up because someone at the table says, oh, and yeah, it's just a major buzzkill. And they go, major buzzkill? and they like start being friends again. Like it isn't as awkward as it was before. Sorry, I don't know what's in my nose, bro. And after like they eat, Barney is mocking Marshall with the countdown. He's like, "Look, only 10 more seconds, you loser. You don't get to slap me anymore." Like that's when Lily turns to Marshall and goes, and Barney gets his shit rocked.
You can slap him.
What? Wait, you... That's 3!
I don't know. Like, yeah. And with that lovely send-off, this episode's gonna be our only C given out today. This episode feels like you have to understand the show a lot. Like, there's very nuancy things happening. Like, you'd have to have watched... Like, I found it very confusing. You'd have to watch the episodes where, like, Marshall gets these slaps, what that meant for it, like, why Ted and Robin being so awkward. Like, we know they're broken up, so that's awkward, but it's like, we don't have any context. Like the Friends episode, it doesn't really have anything to do with Thanksgiving. Like, they do eat Thanksgiving dinner, but it's more about, like, the slap in the end, obviously. So, in conclusion, yeah, Christmas specials are probably better than Thanksgiving spectaculars, but how else are you supposed to celebrate Thanksgiving besides getting sick off of how many mashed potatoes you ate? I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you want to see for next time. Hell, give me some movie recommendations. I'm always looking for movie recommendations, especially if you want me to make a video about them. And with that, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody!
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Slapsgiving, everybody.